Anjana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Nilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So the question is, having given up so many things, gross sinful life, and taken to Krishna consciousness, and even coming to the stage of initiation, still we feel that we're not making advancement. How can we make advancement quickly? Well, this question was asked to Prabhupada, how can we make advancement quickly? And Prabhupada answered it, Srila Prabhupada answered it briefly. He said, follow the rules and regulations strictly. Many times we're asked similar questions. How can we be humble? How can we be sincere? How can we be determined? How can we give up anarthas? The process is already there. It's given by Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who took instruction from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on this. And Nana Shastra Vichara Naika Nipano Sadharma Samsthapako, studying all the scriptures to give us the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which Srila Prabhupada has given to us as the nectar of devotion. So the answer is already there. The process is already there. We have to follow the process. Often devotees, they ask, how can we make quick advancement? How can we become humble? How can we become sincere? Like they're looking for some special magic formula. But the magic formula is already there. It's already given by Krishna in the form of the Shastras. It's already given there by the Acharyas who have taken the essence of all the Shastras. This is the magic. The magic is the process of devotional service. Kirtanakya Bhakti. The process of Bhakti Yoga based on Kirtan, glorification of Krishna. Kirtan means Shravan Kirtan. Just like Krishna means Radha Krishna. So Krishna means Radha Krishna, Kirtan means Shravan Kirtan. The two are inseparable. They must go together. And Shravan Kirtan also means Sevan. There must be service. So all these processes are together. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the 5 most important, that Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavat Shravan Mathura Vas Shri Murtir Shradhai Shevan. So these are the 5 most important processes. Sadhu Sangha comes first. Without Sadhu Sangha we won't have any idea what to do or how to do it. That's essential. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavad Shravan. Everyone can understand these words, isn't it? Simple, yeah. Mathura Vas, living in Mathura. Mathura means the place of the birth of Vasudeva. Satvang Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. Vasudeva, Krishna, is born from the pure consciousness. That is Shuddha Sattva, Vasudeva. So one can live in Mathura by the consciousness of wanting to serve Krishna. That is actual Mathura Vas. Of course, it's very good to live in Mathura, Vrindavan. But living there for the purpose of Labh, Puja, Pratishta, that is not actual Rajavas. Even that is beneficial. But even one can live in South America and live in Vrindavan if one's consciousness is such, desire is such. Far away, one can actually live in Vrindavan. So Mathura Vas and Shraddhai Shri Murtir Shiva, to worship the deity with great faith, not taking as a doll or an idol. So these are the basic processes, and Rupa Goswami has given many more, 64 basic processes. Of course there are many more, but it begins with Gurvashraya, Ado Gurvashraya, taking shelter of the Guru. Krishna Diksha Anushikshanam, taking initiation, and Shiksha. The essence of Diksha is taking Shiksha, taking instruction. As I many times say, Guru is not just a picture on the wall to wave some incense at and say Jai Guru Dev. But you have to follow the instructions. Otherwise it's meaningless. And we have to take Divyam Jnanam, the knowledge of Shastra, coming in parampara, and Vishrambhena Guru Seva, serving with great affection. And then there's so many processes are given. Observance of Ekadashi, chanting the holy names, associating with devotees. And there are primary processes and others also. Most important, these 5 are given. And then others are given which, among the 64 processes given, some are part of these main processes. Just like one should perform parikrama, circumambulate the temple. That is a part of the Archan Vidhi, or worshipping the deities. So all these rules and regulations are meant for purification. Purification means becoming free from gross and subtle desires to do anything else but serve Krishna. Yeah. That is the meaning of purification. And all these rules and regulations, you may think, well, it's rules and regulations, just rules. But the rules are to make us do what we should do spontaneously. We say we like to be spontaneous. But when we are spontaneously in love of Krishna, we do these things anyway. We naturally want to do that. But the rules are there to train us to do it. We're not doing it spontaneously, so do it anyway. You should follow this rule. So there are do's and don'ts. We were just hearing that there are the principles of dharma, and they have their opposites, which are the principle or the manifestations of adharma. So mercy, cleanliness, austerity, truth, and just the opposite will be formed by meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit sex. So like this, there are do's and don'ts, the rules and regulations, vidhi, nishedh. What should be done? What should not be done? What should be done? Take shelter of Guru, chant the holy names, perform the archan, which aratis, offer. We should not take any food which is not offered to, well, that becomes a nishedh. So they go together. We should take food which is only that prasadam, food offered to Krishna. That's should be done. And nishedh, don't take other foods. Don't take chocolate, I heard.
Very good.
I heard from you just now.
Yes, we don't take chocolate.
Good. Nowadays there are many alterations, but Prabhupada never offered chocolate to Krishna. Sometimes we hear, one devotee I saw was drinking tea. So, he's an older man, this is many years ago, actually disciple of Bhakti Saraswati Prabhupada. So I said, why are you drinking tea? He said, well, there's nothing in Shastra against it. Doesn't say against. And that's why we have to have our acharyas also. Because in time there may be some things introduced. Just like you may say, there's nothing in Shastra against watching TV. But that falls within the general category of asat sangha. Because they're not talking about Krishna. They're talking everything nonsense. So that makes the samskar, the impression in the mind, which will take us away from Krishna. So the acharyas are very kindly given what should be done, what should not be done. And the essence of all rules is, what is the essence of all rules? Who can say? Smartavya satatam Vishnu. Vismartavya najatu chit. Always think of Krishna and never forget Krishna. But because we don't do that, therefore there are rules and regulations to help us do so. Now, the attitude to be cultivated while following the rules and regulations, not just, sometimes we think, well, follow the rules. There's the other, one side is to think, I don't need to follow any rules. It's just rules. I just love Krishna. But love means something positive, some activity. Now, I often give this example, that in the modern Western world, they always talk, love, love, I love you, darling. They always have to say it again and again, I love you, because they don't actually love. That's why they have to say it again and again. But in Indian culture, they never say that. Is that right, Maharaj?
100%.
They never say I love you.
Yes.
But then in the Western culture, it's I love you 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and now I don't love you.
I leave you.
I love you, I leave you. In the Indian culture, they never say I love you, but if they only leave you to take sannyas, like Maharaj. Otherwise, there's no divorce. Sannyas is not divorce.
No.
It's something that's for a higher purpose. It's not just, I'm fed up. Maybe I'm fed up, but you're going to go to Krishna. So it's not irresponsibility. It's higher responsibility. Now they don't say why. Just like in Indian culture, in England, if you don't say please, thank you all the time, people get very disturbed. I get in trouble when I come to England because I'm out of practice. Because in India we don't say all the time please, thank you, because it's understood. It's a duty. If you do some service, that's your duty to do so. And especially service to senior, you don't say thank you. You may say thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve, because it's my privilege, not that I'm doing something for you. So it's a different understanding. You don't say I love you. It's understood because the service is there. The husband takes responsibility and the wife performs the griha karya. She takes charge of the home affairs. So it's understood. It's a more subtle culture. But it's understood. The love is there, but it's not that you have to say all the time, I love you, but it's by performing the activity, it's understood. The man takes responsibility for the home, should be a little strict with the children, and the mother very liberal, or sometimes around the other way. Prabhupada's case, his father was very liberal, and mother was very strict. But one way or the other, they form a team. So it's understood. The love is there. The affection is there. So same thing in love of Krishna. It's not just we say, I love. We see these t-shirts. I love Krishna. I'm very fortunate if you have love of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that I could not get love of Krishna. Then why are you crying? It's only a show. They're praying. Kobe Hobe, but the acharyas are praying. They're teaching us. And when will I get Namaruchi? I don't have. But love is manifested by service. It's not just of course love means bhav, it means feeling, but that's manifested in a practical way. So we're saying we love Krishna, but then no one cleans the temple. Now no one offers any food, or maybe they put some, just one glass of water or something, and for themselves cook a big feast. This is not love. Love means Krishnate Akila Cheshta. We are taught to perform everything for Krishna. And by doing so, Prabhupada gave the example that a young girl, they're married in childhood. I was just saying this now in Birmingham. Someone was saying there's so many problems in society. Teenage pregnancy. I said, what's wrong with teenage pregnancy? The body is made in teenage for that. But the problem is that in your culture you allow teenage pregnancy, but you don't allow child marriage. So, but you say child marriage is wrong, but teenage pregnancy is okay. They can get pregnant at 14, it's allowed, but it's not allowed they should marry. So that Vedic culture, Indian culture, that allows that, but then they're not wandering the streets or going to the government to get some pay. But they're protected. So, Prabhupada was explaining how in childhood they're married, and they're just children. They don't know anything. What is husband, wife, but when they get a little bit older, the girl is sent to the boy's house, and she brings some, she knows my husband, she brings some food, she's taught how to serve him, and he also appreciates. So by doing the service, the relationship is established. So in the same way, we're trained to do service to Krishna, and the relationship is established. Prabhupada gave that as an example. So how can we quickly come to the stage of love of Krishna? Prabhupada gave the example, follow the rules and regulations. One consideration also is maybe don't try to go too quick. And become frustrated and disappointed. We should have the faith that if my duty is to serve and do my best, and then Guru and Krishna will help. I must try the best I can, but at the same time, there may be so many things in the heart which are difficult to overcome. But we should have the faith that if this utsaha, nishchaya, dharya, we should have enthusiasm, and that enthusiasm should not be just for 1 or 2 days. But that should be with determination. Initiation means to take the sankalpa, that means to make the determination that yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go through with this. I'm going to stay with this. So our enthusiasm may go up and down, but our vow is, I'm going to stick with this. That's why we have the rules. One morning we feel, yes, now I want to chant Hare Krishna. Another next day, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But no, I have to chant. I vowed I will do it. So, enthusiasm, determination, and patience. Have the patience. Krishna will help. Even if I have to take millions of lifetimes, I'll stick with this path. Krishna will certainly help me. Krishna is not so ungrateful that if we attempt to serve him, he will not help us. One time devotee asked Prabhupada, will we go back to Godhead? Prabhupada said, we're doing so many things to bring others back to Godhead. Then Krishna will not take us? Surely he will take us. He is not ungrateful. So we should have this faith. That don't artificially try to go where we're not ready. Prabhupada also warned us about that. That it's Radha Bhav for half an hour a day and then watch TV and go, this is Sahajya. So we should go carefully. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur taught us very nicely. He gave the words, what our attitude should be. Pujala Ragapata. That we are to worship those who are on the Ragatmika Bhaktas, those who are great, great devotees. Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Mai, Raktak, Chitra, Patri, all the different devotees of Vrindavan. We are to worship them, the Acharyas. Acharyopasana in Bhagavad Gita, not Krishna's. We are to worship them by following their instructions, always wait for their mercy, because without the mercy of Vaishnavas, even if you follow all the rules and regulations, it won't come to anything. So we always have to expect the mercy. Rupa Goswami Prabhupada gives a beautiful example of the chatak bird, which only drinks water from the cloud, directly the rain, won't take from anywhere else. There may be so much water, and in the hot season, so hot, just waiting, dry. But when will the rain come? So it may be that we go through so many difficulties in life, and we may think, well, let me try something else. We may think, let me go for this kind of psychological counseling, or we may go, let me try some baba or bappa or some amma or something like this. But our faith is that Krishna, I don't want anything, even you offer me the whole world, even you offer me Shanti, anything you offer, but I'll only take if it's coming from Krishna. I don't want anything else. That faith, that determination, that patience will attract Krishna's mercy. How can we make advancement? We can try only. But that will come as a blessing. We can only try. We can't force. Now I'm going to chant 64 rounds a day and eat only one handful of rice every day, and I'm going to force my way into Rasa Leela. This won't happen. It won't happen. Only by humbly praying that I am completely unqualified, but in my dirty heart, somewhere there is a desire to serve you. So please give me the mercy that I may be able to do so. Jogata bichari kichu nahi pai, tomara karuna shah. Fully dependent, fully surrendered. This we can do. Following rules and regulations, and at the same time praying for the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Associating with devotees who will discuss these things, who will teach us these things, who will give us inspiration. So many times you're thinking, let me try something else. But associating with devotees, even if out of a sense of shame, if we're with devotees, then we can't be too much nonsense. Or if we're with devotees, then we'll at least try to make a show of chanting nicely, because we don't want them to think that we're as bad as we are. So even at the very lowest beginning level, association with devotees will help us. So we should always there are so many points to be said. Prabhupada said it succinctly. Follow the rules and regulations. Everything is there in that book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And everything becomes complete by associating with pure devotees. Everything becomes clear. Even if we haven't read many, many books, associating with devotees is even better than reading books, because they are the Bhagavat directly. But of course, devotees speak Bhagavat, so we'll hear from them. So we're not, and they'll tell us to read the book also. So the answer is just follow what Prabhupada gave us. That's the answer. Prabhupada gave us the whole spiritual world and the process, how to attain it. So we're very, very grateful to Srila Prabhupada who's given us this. I'd like to say a few words. I said before, last time I was here with Maharaj, how in Berry Place Temple actually. Mostly Maharaj was in Berry Place. So we had something in common, many things in common. We both come to Krishna by Prabhupada's mercy. And we both left our homes, or Maharaj was in the long and difficult process of leaving home, because the wife, he'd actually left, but the wife wouldn't leave him. So it was a lot. He was determined, I must serve Krishna. His wife was also very determined that he should not leave me. So he was doing both things. He was working and living in the temple. So that we had in common. We both left home to serve. Of course, for a Westerner to leave home, if you don't leave, they'll throw you out. So it's not a very great thing for us. We found a home. That Berry Place Temple. I was just speaking with Rancho Prabhu yesterday about Berry Place. How it was so sweet. That temple was so... Anyone who ever lived there, there's very special magic there. Radha Landanishwara, you can still... There's still the same Radha Landanishwara. But the temple room was so small. I think maybe 1/3 the size of this temple room. Is it approximately? Yes. It's about the same length and about 1/3 as wide. And we had usually at least 60 devotees living in the ashram. So we were all there. So there's no room for dancing backwards and forwards, only up and down. There was lots of dancing. And there wasn't much space even for the deities. So Jagannath, Subhadra, Baladev were on top of Radha Krishna. And they were so close, you could almost shake hands with Krishna. And Krishna, we were standing and just at the same level, so we were looking down at Krishna. There was very little space. So it was very intimate. And we could only live like that. And nowadays we talk a lot about Vaishnava relationships and we discuss this and that. But actually we all had a very loving relationship, even without talking about it very much, because we were all there to serve Radha Nandanishwara and Prabhupada, and that's what we all did. So it was a very sweet mood, and there were very few Bharatiya Bhakt at that time. Mostly it was all the Westerners. So Krishnadas Maharaj was there, and Shubhag Maharaj was there, and Vrajendra Nandan, who his name was Vrajendra Kumar Prabhu, and he became Bhakti Vrajendra Nandan Maharaj. So these were the 3 Indian devotees who were living in the ashram, although Vrajendra Kumar would go out for traveling Sankirtan. He's from Malaysia actually, but Sri Lankan Tamil. Now of course we should not classify devotees according to body, but culturally there is a lot of difference. So they were all older than us, we were all young, and they were all older, and they were civilized by background, and by background we were. Prabhupada tried to make us civilized, and of course chanting Hare Krishna is the most civilized thing. But we were basically by sanskar, we were from Lecha Yavana background. So I can only understand, after going and living in Bharatvarsha, how much sacrifice these devotees were making and how much devotion they had to Krishna to come and live with us. Because we didn't know how to treat them at all. We didn't know how to respect them as being older and actually being very cultured. But anyway, they were coming with the feeling that we have to serve Krishna, and they found, of course, there are Krishna temples. I think at that time there were no other Krishna temples, but it was also I'm guessing here now, but I can guess that it's how Prabhupada gave Krishna and how Prabhupada that purity that he instilled, that attracted Krishnadas Maharaj. Otherwise there were other Swamis coming. Prabhupada wasn't the first Swami. But Krishnadas Maharaj was attracted by how Prabhupada gave Krishna consciousness, that purity, that life of bhakti. So with many difficulties, I cannot. For us, we were, we kind of hippie background, but for Maharaj, leaving a comfortable home and to live. Just recently, I was in Lithuania, and Bhakti Chaitanya Swami was formerly Raghuvir, who was the temple commander at Berry Place. So he was just describing, I asked him to describe a little bit about that to the devotees present. And he said, yes, we were 60 brahmacharis and only 2 small brahmacharis. And I said, 2 rooms? He said, well, that included the shower room. Because that doubled up. There's only 1 shower for all of us. So you were allowed approximately 3 seconds in the morning. And then you'd be literally physically grabbed out. So the shower room doubled up as space for sleeping. And there was one other tiny little cubicle, Subhag Maharaj would stay there. So Maharaj was living there with all of us. And I found shelter with Maharaj also. That's what I'm saying, Vatsalya Bhav. He was very kind to me. And I'm sorry, I must have mistreated you in many. I didn't know how to behave or anything. I was just a young boy. But sometimes I would.
Very good.
I would speak nothing. I mean, I had no idea what to do. What is Guru Seva? Nothing. But anyway, sometimes he would speak to me and encourage me that you don't get entangled in this family life. It's too much headache for the bhakti, and in so many ways he encouraged me. So it's been too late after so many years, I'm saying, but better late than never.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Anyway, I'm talking too much. It's also
No.
an offense to speak so much before one seniors. But I know last time I came, Maharaj insisted that I spoke. So I'm taking.
That's sweet.
I'm taking indulgence.
Sweet indulgence. It's lovely.
I can take a little indulgence because I know Maharaj has some fondness for me. So
Can we invite questions maybe?
Yes.
Anybody has any questions for Maharaj? Either of the Maharajas? Don't be shy, come on. Yeah.
How have you been?
How what?
How has your health been? His health?
Who's?
Guru Maharaj.
Oh, Guru Maharaj. She's interested in your health. Oh yes, that's Marcella. She went to, you mentioned South America. She was there for 7 months. And she's come back and taking Darshan Maharaj for the first time this year. And she's asking after your health. It's the same as last year.
I didn't ask about Maharaj's health. Because whatever it may be, he's transcended that. He's going on preaching, like you're saying that the spirit remains strong, but the body doesn't cooperate. But following the example that Prabhupada showed us, Maharaj is just going on and on preaching, regardless. If he was to retire now, everyone would think that's all right. But he's not.
Hari Sari Prabhu met Maharaj in Durban. And he met me then in Mayapur. I said, oh, you met Maharaj in Durban? He goes, yes, I did. I told Maharaj, you're going to outlive all of us. He said, although we are concerned about his health, but he'll outlive all of us. Thank you for that. Anybody else? Any questions?
I can add something to this. Sweet and sour. That a few years ago, Mahavishnu Maharaj, Gujarati. He's not Gujarati, but we say that to distinguish him. We have to say something to understand. The other one we call him accordion. Mahavishnu Maharaj.
Accordion. Accordion, he plays the accordion.
So he had a stroke while he was here in London. And he was very serious condition. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj said to him that, well, you make a place for us up there. And he said, we'll see who's going first.
Really?
So he looked like he was going, but he didn't go. And unexpectedly, Tamal Krishna Maharaj went. Yeah. Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj lived 140 years.
140 years.
Whatever, it's difficult to say. You're talking of Kumbh Mela.
Yeah.
You see the sadhus there by their jata. I mean, to grow hair that long, it must take a few hundred years, literally.
300 to 400 years.
Yeah? They're so old. I remember one time at Kulinagram, place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. I saw just one sadhu. He was dressed in white very simply. He didn't say anything, I just saw. He looked quite young, but then from his eyes I could understand. He must be well over 100 years old. So that's possible. We'll live forever at Prabhupada's lotus feet. He reasons ill who tells that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. A Vaishnav dies to live, and living tries to spread the holy name around.